All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are officially live.
All right.
Episode 13 of Stogies and Stuff. We are live today. I had to get that first sip of coffee in.
Episode 3 with the 1 in front of it.
I was like, what, 3? No, but I'm excited, guys. I'm excited. You know why? Because we finally got our previous episode of Stogies and Stuff with some actual Stogies.
Yes,
for those of you who tuned in, it was a fucking beautiful night. We could not pass it up. Those of you guys who are in the area we are, which is known as the Rio Grande Valley, you'll be aware that it's mostly fucking humid. And so we're not used to these kind of things.
That's right.
Currently, Mike and I don't have a smoke room, our own personal, but that's in the works. So stay tuned on that shit.
Guys, there's a lot of big shit in the works. There really is. The thing about it is we like to operate low key because we are more of people of action rather than talking. Acta non verba, baby.
Well, I'm excited, man, because let's get right into it. Okay, we're going to talk about some pretty good stuff here, okay? We got some cool topics. A lot of shit was happening these past 2 weeks, etc. But, okay, before I forget, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Guys, we've already got some loyal followers. I'm pretty excited about that. I mean, it's weird to say we've got some loyal followers, right? It's cool. So there's some of you guys who appreciate the initiative we're taking on sharing some value on today's agenda, right? The news behind today's agenda. We're going back to that shit. But let's talk about some of these important topics we've got coming up, man. Topic number 1, Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith. Will, my man, please, bro, please, man, just cut it off, bro, please, bro. Like you're a badass dude. I feel like we just need to inject you with some fucking testosterone or something, bro. You're putting up with a lot of bullshit that you shouldn't be doing anymore. Shouldn't be having to put up with anymore. In my eyes, bro, you're considered one of the GOATs. Okay, it's fucking and for those of you guys who don't know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about their marriage, okay? The reason why I'm talking about it, look, they've been married since 1997, and apparently, and maybe this might catch Will off guard also, but Jada's been saying that they technically haven't been married since back in, what was it?
2016.
2016, yeah, exactly. That they've been it's been a few years that they've been considered separated.
Yeah, since 2016, guys. That's the claim she's making. Now, yeah, I'm pretty sure y'all have been seeing her all over social media, making these outlandish claims. Oh, yeah, I don't know why Will Smith was acting this way. When I looked over to him after he yelled that out of keep her effing name out of his mouth for Chris, right? Obviously, Chris Rock, that she was sort of shocked. She's like, I don't know where this is coming from. Like, Will, are you okay?
Oh, my God.
What in the hell? First, the red table talk. This is what, like 3 years ago?
Well, if you really think about it, that's when everything basically started to accumulate.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. That's what I'm saying. It was like,
when
what, 3 years ago?
Yeah, right when that fucking
she got him on there, all those memes of Will Smith kind of like, dark-eyed, looking down like, man, this woman's really going at me. But how much more can she emasculate this man, dude? How much more can he take? I mean, at the end of it, we don't know what's going on in their personal lives, okay? And not even anybody, sources, whatever. Only they know. Maybe their kids too, because it's their kids. But we only know what's being told. And Will Smith's pretty silent about this, which as a man should be, right? He's not going to go out and publicize all these things. But for Jada Smith to essentially say that her man's not doing it for her, that they separated, that she went and saw someone else, dated someone else, and that supposedly Will Smith did the same.
And we know who that was, August. Fucking weird because I think he was friends with their son's son, pretty much. And it was just like, hey man, this guy's a young 20-year-old, but we basically already know the type of men she likes. And what her life is about. She's real about that fucking gangster life.
Yeah, she is.
That's why she's obsessed with fucking Tupac.
Yeah, supposedly claiming that that's her soulmate. And there was,
while they're married.
Yeah, and a lot of it was like, well, why weren't you with him when he was here, right? It's Tupac, and she's like, well, I guess you could say logistically speaking, it wouldn't work because he was in jail a lot of the time. He was kind of just unstable, I guess. Unstable. He wasn't a man. He's a gangster. I'm not saying Will Smith was a man, but you know his infamous speech when he got his what is it, the equivalent of music? Is it? It's not an Oscar. That's movies, but
A Grammy.
there you go, a Grammy. How he said, "I did all this without cussing. I won this Grammy without saying a single cuss word or anything like that in all his raps." And then you got Eminem. You think I give a fuck about a Grammy? Huh, Will Smith, like in his song, in that famous song. So Will Smith's been able to accomplish a lot of things by maintaining his stature of a man.
Just
right?
who he is, man.
Yeah, that's who he is. And he's a genuine guy. I mean, from what it looks like. He looks like a very genuine person. The reactions you get is what he is. He's a great fucking actor. One of the best actors, in my opinion, of all time, because he has this ability of transforming into what he needs to be.
He really becomes the character that he ends up playing, right?
Yeah.
So, fuck, man. I mean, look, I brought this up in the beginning. I said we're breaking down fucking agendas. This is what this is right now. There's a certain agenda right now, and this isn't about left or right. I'm just talking about Jada Pinkett Smith and whatever relationship she has. So recently she just came out in the Today Show, right? Okay, she came out in the Today Show. She's talking about what happened at the Oscars with Chris Rock and all that stuff, saying how, again, you mentioned she was appalled, basically surprised by Will Smith's reaction, saying, "Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth," right? When in reality, hey, I mean, there's nothing. Could it be managed better? Yes, but at the same time, it's his effort. You know, if your husband or wife fucks up, you're basically there to, hey, I'm there for support, not, hey, I'm gonna single you out now and say, hey, I was surprised as all of y'all were. I rolled my eyes afterwards or she says afterwards, but it was actually before Will Smith acted the way he was, because when you go back to the clips, Will Smith was actually laughing, and then he saw Jada's reaction, and that's when he reacted the way he did. Now she's trying to portray it as if it was the other way around, like, oh, I'm worried for Will, trying to distance herself from now Will as acting as if he's tarnished his own image, self-destruct or whatever. But in reality, it is what this comes down back to is, guys, just pick the person or the partner that you want to be with. Be picky with that partner, okay? Because that person that you have next to you, and like it goes all back to your inner circle, can be very self-destructive if it's not in line with the values and who you actually stand for. But anyways, the point that I was trying to get at, the agenda here, right? She's currently got, for those of you who don't know, she has a book getting ready to come out, and I think it's called Worthy or some shit like that. Let me see. Yeah, that's right. She's on tour right now promoting her book, Worthy, okay? And it's basically her sharing about herself, her lifestyle, her upbringing. I guess I won't even be surprised if she brings about trying to make sense of the affair that she was having while she was still married.
Justify it.
Exactly. Everything that she's ever told herself. I mean, it's just, fuck, guys. I mean, clear example. I think example with their relationship. Like, Will's fucking badass. Jada, I mean, I think they just need to just cut fucking ties already, you know?
Because the question becomes, when is enough, right? And, you know, you could argue that they're at an age where they should be mature enough to be able to not throw each other under the bus. Each other under the bus, and just handle it like adults. But let's face it, guys, everybody's imperfect. You know, a lot of the times when it's very emotionally tied to you, everybody doesn't necessarily react rationally. So I understand the whole rational aspect of it. You're not going to expect a rational approach. But at the same time, you don't have to go public about all this shit. I mean, what she's doing is she's monetizing their problems. And there is nothing good about that, guys. Instead of utilizing her image as not only Will Smith's wife, but Jada Pinkett Smith, actress who's come out in movies like, what's it called?
Matrix.
Nutty Professor.
Oh, yeah.
Did she come out in Matrix too?
Yeah, didn't she? Yeah, she came out in the Matrix also.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
The Matrix. Guys, like, you know, utilize that. Really compound on that image. But why do you have to go and compound on the image of distressed wife and nagger? That's what you're labeling yourself as. Like, I understand maybe you're trying to take the approach of empowering women, but you're empowering women to do what? Badmouth their husbands, throw them under the bus, make them look like pieces of shit. That is not what you do, especially if you've spent 20 plus years with this man. You have 2 children with him, children that arguably are doing their best to make their own names in this world. But don't be doing that shit, Bubba. Like,
Bubba!
You just can't.
Dude,
not only from a moral standpoint, but an ethical standpoint.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, look, man, if you want to bring science into this all, I think this kind of touches the whole, man, if you haven't started monitoring your whole testosterone and all, I think that's kind of what we need to talk about here too. I mean, Mike and I ain't no, we don't study anatomy or we don't study bio and humans or et cetera like this, but the facts are now that there's more research out there, testosterone is going to play a huge part in how your moods are basically in and how well you're able to perform.
Right.
And so I want to touch that next, but I do want to go back to Will Smith and Jada. Look, if you guys ever end up being in a relationship that's just, let's label this relationship as completely toxic already, because this isn't the first time where Jada just kind of outs him like this. Basically, she's like, hey, I have no association with him. It's always him himself. And Will does a great job of keeping his composure. I'm like, shit, I got to give this guy credit for just still sticking by his wife, even though she claims she's not his wife anymore. They don't label each other as husband and wife anymore. Make it official.
Which is interesting.
Just make it official already. If the relationship's right, it's right. And I'm no relationship expert, but it doesn't take more than common sense to understand if something works, it works. You can't force shit to work. And I'm not perfect, nor am I trying to claim that how I handle my relationship is perfect. But I'm saying, especially when you already understand that you have this social responsibility, you guys are celebrities, you guys influence a lot of families, individuals, young adults to make better decisions also, or worse decisions, especially in a society now that's completely influenced by entertainment, media, news, etc. I mean, you should understand that is your social responsibility now, right? You do owe a certain duty to society where, hey, you know what? We got to be better with our decisions too. And so going back to it all, I think the only way we become better as people, and even by the models or role models that we may consider as role models, is just being better people. And what I mean by people is monitoring your health. And it's going back to, I think, even our previous podcast, we talked about this. Episode 12, like I said, we got those Stogies in. We're talking about what makes a better person, or the values or management in itself, from your mindset to your physical attributes to your inner circles, towards everything. Just how you manage everything in itself. One of the big things we're noticing as men, and I'm not talking to women in general. Women, you guys are important. We would be nothing without you also, but at the same time, you wouldn't be nothing without us either. And that's initially what we're bringing up here. Jada's saying she doesn't basically need her fucking man. She's her own shit. Mm-hmm. She's worthy. What the fuck does that even mean? Worthy. Okay, I'm fucking worthy too. Will is fucking worthy also. You know what I mean? Think bigger than that shit. Don't use your fucking relationship as a promoting option for your next book just to get more fucking sales.
Right. Yeah, man. Be worthy in your own right. That's exactly right.
It's just ridiculous. I feel bad for Will. I like the dude a lot. I think he's really cool, but I think he just needs to be out. You know, He's got a unique personality. But I think we can talk about the next topic that we wanted to talk about, testosterone, right? This specifically for men. Mike, you can. I want you to take a deep dive on this, man, real quick.
So from the general standpoint, guys, testosterone falls within an androgen. And what an androgen is it's hormones that give their men their male distinction, right? Essentially, what makes a man. The sex hormones, particularly testosterone. Testosterone in males starting to decrease.
It's a huge decline.
Yep. And there's types of testosterone. There's testosterone that's a part of your sex drive, and the sex hormone is the one that's very targeted. It goes obviously towards your sex hormones, but the more I guess you could say attractive form of testosterone is the free form testosterone. And what it does is it allows your body, it's in an unbound form. Think of it as like a cargo. And in this cargo, You have all the parts of your body that need this testosterone. Your brain, the part of your brain, the amygdala that needs it, that utilizes it.
There's basically
your muscles.
there's basically testosterone receptors in the brain, ladies and gentlemen. It is, and it affects your moods, okay, and affects your performance. Believe it or not, sorry to interrupt, Mike. I didn't mean to do that, but I just wanted to add. Basically, it's what allows us to want to take effort to say, "Hey, fuck it! I'll take the pain and the fear that comes with these achievements that I'm wanting to take on and etc. and just be better, right?" And so that's always it sounds so fucking plain and simple. Mike and I just saying, "Be better, be better," but that's initially overall everything that we stand for, being better. Okay,
Yeah, it encompasses all this, all of it.
And so then it comes to question, like talking about testosterone and all this shit. It's like, hey, is fucking maybe Will Smith lacking testosterone? You know, I don't fucking know. I mean, I just know that there's maybe signs of it. I mean, he doesn't seem. I remember him with a lot more drive and charisma in him before that I don't necessarily see anymore. Now, believe it or not, with lack of testosterone, you start developing anxiety,
You're
depression, all the laziness. Exactly, you're kind of just fucking there. You know, it's like just going along the day, but there's no purpose anymore.
Yeah,
you know.
And guys, we're not saying go and take all these supplements. You know, build more testosterone. More testosterone means automatically better. No, that's not the takeaway. But when you look at it from a biological standpoint, primal, it doesn't take much to realize that for men, big balls means testosterone. I mean, you look at the sheep, rams, right, specifically. You look at bulls. You look at
Rams,
horses.
Yeah, you said that already. Rams.
You know, yeah, exactly. Bigger balls is associated more with a stud, right? Someone that's gonna, you know, fertilize the woman and take it from there, right? Have badass children. But that and I like to say this in its most basic form, is representative of a male characteristic, balls. Now, when you look into it, it's testosterone. And the reason why testosterone is important is because the amygdala, the part of the brain that's actually in control of anxiety, it's got its actual testosterone receptors. And the way that they kind of come intertwined is these receptors are triggered with testosterone, and it's essentially a rewarding receptor.
That's right.
The more testosterone that comes into play with the amygdala creates sort of a synthesis that rewards a feel-good factor. Well, it rewards you and creates a feel-good factor. And with this feel-good factor means more confidence, more of a drive to want to get things done. You kind of wonder, why is it that teenage boys have like so much energy and they work out, they grow so fast, they just eat a lot? It's the testosterone. The hormones all over the place. They're going through puberty. Their testosterone levels are through the freaking roof because they're materializing into a man.
All these proteins, etc.
I actually saw that, and this was through Joe Rogan. I saw that the best way to go about getting testosterone in your body is through insulin syringe, and anywhere from 20 to 60 milligrams every third day. That's the way to go about it.
Every
now,
3
it still
days?
sounds like a shit ton, but the idea is to replicate in those 3 days. You divide that by 3, right? 20 divided by 3 is what? Almost 7?
Yeah.
60 divided by 3 is
That's right.
20?
Yep.
So it's to replicate as much as you can the natural production of the testosterone in your body, so that it's not thrown off and you're not having highs and lows. You're not treating it like a freaking, what's the term? The medication, like addictive medication.
Oh,
right?
yeah. That's right.
A controlled substance. Mm-hmm. You're not treating it like that. You're actually doing it in a way where your body's going to treat it as if it's just normal to you and not create the highs and lows. So that's the idea, guys. If there are men of you out there that do have clinically low testosterone, then, you know, you can consider going that route. And there's also the, I guess, holistic route of taking the plant compounds based Tango Ali and Fedosia, 600 milligrams of Fedosia. You can do that too. It's really just going to be up to you. But I think it's worth looking into, guys, because when you treat it from, we go back to rules and principles. And if you base it off of rules and scientifically speaking, there are ways to holistically improve your testosterone or raise your testosterone levels. So I think it's worth exploring.
I think so too, bro. So again, and then of course, when we talk about testosterone, this then gets negatively looked upon with the whole masculinity rose. I mean, that's initially the agenda behind true masculinity, guys. And I'm talking about the true wokeness of all this shit is, hey guys, us as men, we have certain roles again. Talking about those roles, and you're gonna hear us repeat this day in, day out. Podcast after podcast, we bring it up here and there. I think we even spoke about it last podcast. Check it out again. Episode 12 was legit. Anyways, masculinity is not a bad thing. Knowing what real masculinity is understanding that us as men know our responsibilities to our women and our families, right, etc. It's saying that we're going to be the best version of us, perform the best with the best version of us for you, okay? We are at service for you. We're switching that mentality. There's no such thing as fucking anxiety when it comes to us men. There can be no such thing as depression, okay? Look, this basically is supposed to bring about the better good. So when you see masculinity, I'm not talking about that toxic shit where people automatically associate beating wives and being fucking toxic and taking steroids and all that shit. No, I don't mean that. We mean at being fucking healthy at all levels and understanding that there are no breaks. There are certain fiduciary duties that we have as men to perform what we're supposed to do. And so that's what we're talking about here. Hey, for those of you men who need a little bit of help, we're not saying that we're not prescribing you any medication or plant-based compounds, etc. Look into it. This is the stuff that Mike and I have already found so far. There's a variety of different resources that go in more depth with people that have PhDs, certain clinical research behind it it's actually published, and they got the studies to promote it. But the beautiful thing now that we have is the resources, the access to the resources to solidify whether or not what we're reading is true. So just food for thought, guys. I know we brought up Will Smith. We brought up their marriage. Mike and I are not saying we don't respect these individuals, but in my opinion, they just shouldn't be together anymore. I got a lot more respect for Will for keeping his cool throughout it all, but at the same time, I just want better for him. I'm hoping he's able to just bring about the best version of himself now. And going back to society now, I think this it's just fucking sad to bring up, but
well, really quick, before we go into that,
go ahead.
I wanted to make this last comment about why I think it's also important to make sure that you keep healthy testosterone levels.
Go ahead.
Guys, it's no mystery and it's no secret that when you look into politics, the left specifically, they really demonize staying fit and staying healthy. But the reality is unfit men that don't necessarily at least try to include some form of workout regimen in their lives and don't necessarily completely watch what they eat, the couch potatoes, they have lower testosterone. That's no secret. And with lower testosterone means lower confidence and more of an ability to be influenced. I think that we need to be careful with what the left's not necessarily promoting, but demonizing and basically indirectly promoting this whole, pop pills and just be okay and relax and don't worry about working out ideas, because I truly think that this makes men more susceptible to being incepted with ideas that they want them to not fight on and to not rebel against. I'm not necessarily saying that that's what it's for. I'm just saying if we were to infer and come up with a conclusion on what may be happening, I think that may be part of it. And we need to, as men, we need to claw at it, and we need to be able to take responsibility and become astute with all of this knowledge and really implement it for ourselves. I think it's important, guys. And that's the takeaway I wanted to get at. But look into it. I'm looking into it. Obviously, we're both very young still, so we don't necessarily need to worry about that right now. But for the older men out there, men that are in their late 30s, 40s, look into this and really start doing it. That's my opinion.
Going into the next topic, just going to go right into it. The war with Hamas, or Israel and Hamas, or going straight into like the whole ethnicity and stuff, Israelis against Palestinians. You know, it's fuck the guys. This is a big fucking thing. Okay, this is a full out war. Israel has declared war already. Okay, and I'm not sure if you guys have seen any of the heartbreaking images and shit out there already. It's
very
just
unfortunate.
It's fucking. I mean, it's not only Israelis and Palestinians that are being affected by this. We have some Americans out there that are being affected by this. People are being killed already. I think over 900 Israelis have died. I've lost count on Palestinians too. I know there's a huge blockade going on, but this whole shit started with the whole. If you're not aware, you know, this Biden administration has just been fucking everything up, okay? There's no coincidence that they released $6 billion for, I think it was about, I'm not sure, I think it was 5 American prisoners that they had. Mm-hmm. And I think it was Iran, to be exact, that had this, okay? So it's not like they released some billions
wrongfully
of dollars to
detained.
Hamas.
Right, wrongfully detained.
Exactly, wrongfully detained. That's the correct terminology for it. So they wrongfully detained 5 U.S. citizens. And so anyways, Iran was requesting, this comes down to the whole not negotiating with terrorists bullshit, okay? It was not bullshit, it's the truth. There's a reason why we're so firm on that, because Biden's administration decided, okay, we're going to release $6 billion to Iran. And what ends up happening when that was brought up, or as soon as they released it, that's when Hamas initiated its attack on Israel. And I think if they attacked like 22 different communities. And guys, the reason why I said that this shit is fucking sad, it's fucking heartbreaking, is because they're affecting families. These Palestinians are I'm just saying, they're raping women, they're killing children. I even read one part where some Israeli soldiers got to a certain community and saw the decapitation of infants, kids. It's like, what the fuck? How is this even humane? I mean, you know, and then of course you got a lot of liberals right now trying to justify, well, are the Palestinians even really wrong for going against the Israelis, Hamas, and all of them to be like, do they have a purpose to be doing this? Like, we don't know. You know, regardless, their acts are a lot different than what the Israelis are actually doing. Do you see, regardless of the blockage they had, because that was one of the reasons apparently that you don't see them chopping off Palestinians' babies' heads. You don't see them raping women and separating children and killing young adults and shit like that. Raiding raves, you know, entertainments and going in there just throwing grenades and crowds of people and where people are celebrating and shit like that. Like, what the fuck is even that? There's right and wrong, and that's just fucking wrong, regardless of what the fuck's been going on. And I'm fucking saddened by this whole event. And a lot of times people think, oh, well, how is that Biden's fault? Guys, do you not understand that we as a country have an influence of a variety of many countries, right? So the decisions that we make are going to affect everything on a global scale. That's exactly what this did here. So, I mean, you got anything to share on your end, Mike? I just think it's fucking ridiculous with the way our administration right now is handling all this bullshit.
Well, guys, when it comes down to humanitarian perspective of this, it's fucked up. There's really no other way to put it. You've got fathers holding their lifeless kids in their arms, patting them in the back as if, you know, everything's going to be okay, like clearly in shock. You've got babies being pulled out of rubble that are dead, passed away, infants, newborns, toddlers, you name it. It's wrong. It's wrong, it's primitive, and it's horrible, guys. But the reality is that's war. You know, a lot of the times, especially modern day people, you look at history and that's really what you read about, what was done. But it's strange to see it done in a modern time because we like to consider ourselves, I guess, more humanitarian. That's why we have the UN. That's why we have the rules of war, right? And which actually there's, if you weren't aware, there's the rules in war is basically like you can't torture, you can't waterboard. It's illegal to waterboard. It's against international law to do things like that. But guys, that's what I mean from a humanitarian aspect. And when you see this stuff being done by terrorist group Hamas, and yes, I am labeling them as a terrorist group because you are never justified in doing out of the blue attack like that and killing innocent civilians. That is never justified. I don't care who you are, what your cause is. It's not justified. But having this group, this essentially ISIS group, because they stand for the same ideology as my understanding, is wrong to do something like that. And I guess my opinion on all this is that whether, I know a lot of the stance from the Israelis is eradicate this group, especially American Israelis like Ben Shapiro. They are like completely eradicate this group because they're not worth being on the face of this earth anymore for doing an attack like this. And though from an emotional standpoint, I agree with that, from a logical standpoint, where does it end? Where will it end after this? Because I guarantee you, even if they're eradicated, it's not going to end, guys. Because then at the end of the day, what are we doing? We're promoting genocide. We're promoting getting rid of a group. This was the very roots of what made us rise against the Holocaust. This is what really made us go against the Nazis, America get involved, because millions of Jews were killed. And for those of you that do not acknowledge the Holocaust, real fuck you. It did happen. And it's fucked up. And I know the Germans try to forget about it, but it happened. But we need to learn from that in history. And eradicating people or groups from this world is not the way to go. I'm not saying, that they'll be saved or necessarily it's our duty to save them, but it's definitely not our duty to eradicate them. That's for the big man above, God. He takes care of that. We do not take that into our own hands. But understanding that, guys, we need to be better. And it always comes down to our message. Be better. And being better is sometimes sending a message, but taking the higher ground. Being better than what your opponent is. Because if you're not, then you're just the same as them. People that stand for a certain cause, that believe killing is the way to go, or retaliatory acts are the way to go. And they're not. So though I respect the emotional response that Israel is doing, as well as the logical response, because I will say a counter attack was needed. Or a counter response, I should say. But, sometimes enough's enough. Like it's been days of the offensive of Israel. The blockade that happened, they've got the food, they've got the water, electricity cut off from
everything's
the Gaza Strip, everything.
Yeah, so
it's very unfortunate.
Yep, going right into it, guys. I mean, the biggest question comes into how in the fuck did Israel not know that this attack was coming? And I'm going to bring up a few points on why I'm emphasizing on that. Okay, Israel right now, at least when it comes to their military, they are considered one of the tops in the world right now. They apparently have one of the best Air Force branches also, okay? So you're telling me someone that's high on military funding also has the whole, what's it called? The Iron Dome, right? Am I saying that correct? Yeah, they have the whole Iron Dome, which is, believe it or not, when I looked into it too, that's AI powered, right? So they got interceptors that will terminate rockets and let some rockets go ahead and pass by if they already calculated that it's going to hit pretty much vacant land, right? Where there's no harm to people, right? They don't care about it. They focus on focus points. And so it's like they have a strong relationship with the Egyptians, right? So the Israelis and all them, and the Egyptians themselves.
Yeah, they're neighbors.
They're neighbors. So they themselves even said, hey, we let Israelis know, or the country of Israel know that, hey, there's something big coming your way. Pay some attention. And of course, what was the prime minister's response? We didn't hear any of that shit. Mm-hmm. So now that comes into question too.
Plausible deniability.
Lying? What the fuck is going on here, right? So I just don't understand how do you have this strong, a branch known. I mean, you have a branch that's strong in the Air Force itself, right? You're flying by, monitoring the whole territory, all that stuff. You're telling me you're never gonna notice what Gaza is initially putting together? You already have a blockade there, which, by the way, after this whole fucking attack, as Mike was bringing up, the blockade is basically intensified by like 100. It's no longer just the strip that's blocked, but the whole complete surrounding of Gaza, which when we pull up a map, you can see, we'll go ahead and show you exactly how it's blocked. But there was already poor living standards in Gaza. The citizens, unfortunately, the Palestinians that live there, which I'm pretty sure not all of them agree with what's going on, are all going to be affected by this. Yeah. So this is just a catastrophe in itself. And then, of course, guys, when we were going back to why this is happening, we put a little bit of research in it on our own also, and there was a few reasons that came up. Okay, so that blockade between Gaza and all the territories around it has been around for about 16 years now. You can say that there's obviously been some frustration that's been brought about by this, right? And then, obviously, the Israelis' occupation with the West Bank, and then a few other things that were brought up were the fact that Israelis police raids on the Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem, and then the detention, this is where I think might have really pushed a lot, detention of thousands Palestinians in Israeli jails. So there's a variety of reasons that were being brought up. It's not just, let's just, I don't think it was just a religious stance. Granted, there are differences between them. Of course, that's never going to end. That's when it comes back into question.
You've got the Muslims and the Jews.
That's right.
They're complete. It's you have Allah, and then you have Yahweh, right?
Yep.
That's. There's a lot of debate on how Yahweh is pronounced, but for the sake of conversation, Yahweh and Allah.
Yeah.
They're one of the same, guys. One of the same, but it's kind of different perception on how they are worshipped, you could say. And going off of what you were saying, Maudi, the Mossad, right? The essentially the equivalent of the CIA for Israel slipped up. There's really no other way to put it.
It's a big slip up,
and it's an unprecedented attack on Israel. The largest amount of casualties on Israel from the Palestinians, and it's like where did the fuck up happen?
And it's funny that not funny, damn, that's horrible to say, but it's very interesting to bring about that there's an actual historical chart that has shown the amount of deaths compared to the amount of deaths in Israelis compared to the amount of deaths of Palestinians from, I believe, 2008 to current year. If we show you that graph, there's been, and this is why there's a whole argue of who's right and wrong, but there's evidently been more Palestinian deaths over Israeli deaths, right? So that you can say that could be some cause of frustration and causation for this war that's already been declared, right? And so when we bring up that chart, you'll see in 2014, this was even back in 2014, there were 2,000 Palestinian deaths, and this was a 50-day war. And the reason why it happened was because some teenagers were kidnapped, right? Obviously, some Israelis passed as well. Wasn't anywhere near the amount of Palestinians that passed, but it comes with war, okay? Right now, with this conflict that's going on, with this war that's now been brought up, we're probably on that way of it being equal, or again, more deaths for the Palestinians right now. And it's just an overall huge conflict. You've got the United States supporting Israel. You've got Saudi Arabia and Iran. Well, Saudi Arabia not necessarily saying that they support Israel or Gaza or Hamas and all them, but they're just kind of, hey, look, we just want all of this to end. You know, we're not saying they're wrong. We're not saying they're right. We just let there be peace, because they obviously have their religious differences. And then Iran, again, guys, when you think of Iran, think of ISIS, right? They are Palestinians as well. Am I wrong? No. So they are Palestinians as well. They share the same religion and all of that sort. But they're claiming that they had no idea or they have no involvement with this attack on Israel. And it's just a load of bullshit. Again, guys, just go back to the whole $6 billion release and the whole transfer from the Americans and all these funds. It's just fucking ridiculous. And it's sad to say, it's sad to bring up, but just let this wake you guys up, okay? We've got the elections coming up. Please, for the love of God, choose the right administration already. Okay, it just, who we choose as our leaders is going to affect everything. And what I mean everything, we're such a major player in this world that what decisions we make is not only affecting us primarily, but everybody else around us. Okay,
that is exactly correct, guys. Let's face it. The United States is essentially the central economic force in the world. It is our economic status really governs the entire world, down to oil in Saudi Arabia, oil around the world, you name it. And the problem with all this is that with all this turmoil coming up, with all these wars coming up, first Russia, Ukraine, now the Palestinians with Israel. Now you've got Hamas declaring jihad for essentially like the religious war day, you could say, declaring that all the Muslims of the world are jihad for a day. And I think this was like last week. Everybody was on high alert as far as everybody being FBI, CIA, you name it. But there's no need for that shit. It's extremely primitive. Like, come on, guys. I understand religious aspects of things, but there's a better approach for all this shit. What better is? I don't know. I mean, definitely not what we're looking at right now. But I get it. I understand at the end of the day, there's never going to be a perfect approach to anything or response to anything. So I understand that. But, guys, it's just wrong overall. And I think that we need to be able to come together and discuss these things. I know recently Russia at the UN voted that Israel stop all their acts already, essentially what they're doing to the Gaza Strip. I think it's expected that the U.S. is going to use their veto power at the UN to keep from that vote going forward. But why, right? Like, why send that message that you're going to promote genocide and promote the eradication of groups? Really what you're doing is shooting yourself in the foot by taking a stance like that. If you take that position right now and it's being done against you and now you're asking for help, what? No, I'm sorry, you're going to be eradicated and no one's going to help you out. No one's going to do anything to stop it. Sorry. Innocent children, women are going to be lost, but it's okay. You need to be eradicated. It's for the good. Come on. There's no justification in that.
There's limits to it, regardless of, well, not regardless. Like I said, it's strictly emotional right now for the Israeli people. I understand. I mean, shit, I'd probably have the same mindset, but I would need those that are sound-minded around to kind of wake me up and say, hey, look, we hear you out. We feel for you and your country, but we can't just exterminate them completely.
No,
I mean, there are innocent bystanders regardless. So we got innocent children and women. And at the end of the day, you pretty much just find the source of the problem and you completely eliminate. And regardless, guys, if you do that, I think if they went that route, it'd probably cause a bigger war than initially what there is right now. Then you'd probably see more. Well, you probably see a unification, and that might even start the world war. I don't know, but this goes back to the whole biblical times.
Yeah. Revelations.
The revelations, man. It's fucking weird.
Yeah, guys, look.
It's all happening.
It's important because a lot of people are going to be like, no, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to see these things. No, you need to talk about it. You need to see these things so you're aware of what's going on, because the reality is, guys, the people that are up top are talking about it, are looking at these things, and are discussing it with each other on what they can do. And are we really going to let the higher ups and people that we don't even know what they're going to decide at what they're going to decide at the end of the day, or what their agenda is, be the ones to talk about it and make decisions for us? No. We need to make sure that we're aware as well, politically and religiously. We need to understand these groups and the oppositions on what their motive is or what their purpose is, and then really get down to the nitty-gritty of it. That is a reality, guys. And, it's important because it's interesting. The other day, I was talking to Dom about how there's even footage of when these Palestinian troops, Hamas groups, were paragliding into this festival, I think.
Yeah.
And there's footage of people recording from their phones. Guess what? The people down there were helpless. They didn't realize that these individuals paragliding in had weapons on them, that they were going in to just get slaughtered. And it happened, guys. There's footage of all the people running away, getting shot down. It's unfortunate. And I'm not going to share them on here, guys, because it's brutal. It's brutal. And I don't even know if YouTube might strike it down either. So that's really the main reason I'm not going to share it. It's not that I don't want y'all to see it, because I do think you should see it. But I don't know if YouTube's going to be like, hey, no, you can't be putting this stuff. So
yeah. It's
hard to watch, but it's the same reason why I've gone and bought an AR-15. I've bought a shotgun, thanks to my buddy Adrian who sent me the links. But you have to be able to do this stuff, guys, safely. All right?
Safely. That's right.
Safely.
Responsibly, too. And so, yeah, I mean, I think there's an interview where there was this young man in that it was a rave. They were That's what they were just at an event celebrating a rave or involved in a rave. And, loud music and everything. You see people paragliding. You think it's all part of the show, as Mike mentioned. But I would like to share that interview where that young man is experiencing, or not experiencing, but sharing the experience of how everything was going down. He was talking about how they were throwing grenades in there. The only reason why he survived was because dead bodies basically piled up against him. And then, once the Palestinians or the Hamas terrorists landed, they were pretty much just shooting, man. Shooting. And he explains the only reason why he survived and he was suffocating under these bodies, but he knew he had to deal with it, was because there was just piles of dead bodies on him, man. And it's just fucking sad. I don't think we should share those footage either. I think maybe just him giving vivid description of it is enough. But yeah, guys, I mean, just let this be man, it's just, I don't know, it's hard to talk about, but
yeah, at the expense,
unfortunately,
it's kind of
overwhelming.
At their expense, we need to learn from this, guys, and be better.
So yeah, I mean, yeah,
I don't even know if we should end the pod with that sort of message, but I do think that it's a message that needed to be said and needed to be sent to you all. I think what we
can do to end this, the way we end this podcast, is more, it's important why us individually should always be striving to be our best version of ourselves. Because initially what those are, and it comes down to strong men and weak men, a lot of times people fear strong men, but in reality what you should be afraid of is weak men, weak ideologies, weak beliefs. Just kill because I'm unhappy, or because I don't know, just over stupid bullshit. We have our own internal problems here in the United States with a lot of young adults, going into schools and doing all the bullshit they're doing right now, right? It all comes down to mental health, but this shit got pretty serious. I wanted to bring up, obviously, there's a lot of more information that's probably going to come up this week about that war. We'll keep up to date with it. But again, guys, I mean, I don't know. I guess that's it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think you're right, brother. And, unfortunately, I hope things go down. They some sort of peace agreement is reached between the Palestinians and Iranians. I hope the Hamas group is disbanded, and those that are responsible, if they haven't taken responsibility already, are held accountable and are dealt with in a humanitarian way. Because I do think that killing anybody is a last resort decision, and it's saved for the most egregious measures or egregious responses. So just remember that, guys, that at the end of the day, we're all humans, and we're all here feeling this out every day as we go. Every day is never promised for anybody here. Every time you wake up, you thank God. You remember it's a gift to be here, and always remind yourself, what am I going to leave behind? What message am I going to leave behind for the people to remember? How can I make society better? Because I know we say how, going back to early in the pod, Jada Pinkett Smith has social responsibility, and I'm glad that my brother brought that up, because that is true. She does, but we all do. We all have a social responsibility to each other. Every one of our groups, small communities, you name it, we are shaping them for the future. With every child born today is being shaped for the future. Just remember that.
Preach on, bro. Preach on. So again, guys, I think we'll conclude this episode, but let's just bring up the mood a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, this is just us breaking down today's agenda, the news agenda of the day, all that, whatever, however you want to label it as. We enjoy having these topics with you guys, bringing about awareness, just inputting our opinions. And again, you guys are more than likely going to disagree with us. That's okay. Fuck, we
fine.
welcome it. I mean,
Comment down below.
I'm not gonna get pissed off because you guys are saying we don't know what we're talking about. Fuck. Okay, then enlighten me. Show me some more evidence or some more facts, or
That's right.
just research and shoot it our way, and we'll change our mindset if we agree with it. Also,
Mm-hmm.
say, hey, you know what? You were right. We were wrong. Okay, we own up to it. But for right now, these are the facts we have. These are our opinions, and we stay strong to it. Freedom
Always.
of speech, baby.
Yep. Don't forget to like and subscribe, people.
Stay tuned. Until the next episode, coming next week.
Out.